You think the 2008 crisis ended? Look again, it didn't disappear, it changed its shape. What if every boom and bust since then, from COVID stimulus to crypto collapse, was the same storm in disguise? COVID stimulus, crypto collapse, the same storm, new mask. Back in 2008, the fuse was subprime mortgages, toxic derivatives. If you follow the pattern, the names change, the logic doesn't. How the 2008 crisis never ended, it just mutated. The Great Financial Crisis began with subprime mortgages and toxic derivatives. The Great Recession slammed the brakes. U.S. real GDP fell about 4.3%. Unemployment more than doubled, under 5% to 10% by October 2009. Household net worth down $11.5 trillion. The S&P 500 cut by 57% from 2007 to 2009. That's not a blip, that's a scar. But the system didn't collapse, it was patched, not fixed. Central banks smashed rates to near zero and turned on quantitative easing. Oceans of cheap money. We didn't detox. We switched meds. Cheap money mutated the disease. The 2010s became the era of asset inflation. Corporate debt piled up. Stock buybacks boomed. Housing reignited in city after city. We called it recovery, but growth stayed weirdly weak. There's evidence the US carried a permanent output loss. Roughly $380 billion by 2019, nearly 2% of GDP. Millions felt it, 8.6 million jobs gone at the trough. Employment didn't fully return to pre-recession levels until 2014. Careers rerouted, wages lagged, inequality widened. Then COVID hit, and we broke the glass. Trillions in stimulus. Central banks printed and bought at a scale nobody had modeled. It worked. For a moment, we bridged a freefall, but the mutation sped up. Supply shocks, plus historic liquidity, gave us inflation we hadn't seen in decades. Prices climbed, rates jumped, fragilities surfaced. Crypto promised a parallel system, then crashed in waves of leverage, speculation, sudden liquidations. Shadow banking, the parts of finance that look like banks but aren't, ballooned in the low-rate decade. Less transparent, looser oversight, more ways for risk to hide. As Zoltan Pazar warned, plumbing matters. And hidden pipes can burst. The faces changed, but the logic stayed the same. Cheap money, inflated assets, delayed consequences. Now we call it inflation, liquidity stress, or de-dollarization, but they're all symptoms of a system that never detoxed. And globally, the shockwaves never respected borders. In 2008, the crisis spilled from US housing to Europe's banks to emerging markets through trade and capital flows. After COVID, stimulus and supply knots ricocheted into prices from London to Lagos. Countries with stronger fiscal rooms and tighter banking rules absorbed hits. Others wore the bruises. Listen to the breadcrumb trail. Mian and Sufi showed how debt-fueled demand magnifies crashes. Rubini traced mega-threats. Pazar mapped where liquidity really lives. Different lenses, same pictures, the cycle stayed unbroken. The Great Financial Crisis didn't end in 2008. It became the permanent condition of the global economy. A world addicted to leverage, waiting for the next shock. History didn't repeat. It evolved. This video was created with help from AI, imperfect, but built to connect dots that humans sometimes ignore. Sponsored by Lapreuve.com, producers of Cacao Norte Sur from Mexico. Check the link and stay curious.